there's been such a large number of people online who become like CG critics. They see a trailer and
Ranbir, don't do that. So the Ramayana team has finally openly talked about the criticism they have faced about the VFX and CG for the Ramayana trailers and teasers, and I'm very fascinated to know what they have said. And that's what we'll be breaking down in this video. If you haven't seen the original interview, I'll put the link description. You can check it out there. There's a reaction to it, not a substitute. I reacted to some other interviews also of the Ramayana team and other people. And colliders are always good people who interview and have very interesting questions. So looking forward to it. So without any delay, let's hear them out.
as the producer, talk a little bit about how you worked out that deal with Sony. Was it something that was complicated? Where you've been working on it for a while? How did it come together?
Okay, nice
I
question.
think it's fair to say especially when you're doing your first film at this scale, it's never easy. It's not meant to be easy. So like all such deals in the movie business, this was incredibly
I was just wondering if some noise comes from Ranbir's mic, that's not gonna be good. And the internet will never forget that. Learn from Tiger Shroff.
hard to sort of pin it down and get it through, but I'm glad that we got there. I think what's more important, Steve, is that to recognize that in over 100 years of Hollywood and the Indian film industry, this would be the first film ever that hits mainstream theatrical release worldwide by a Hollywood studio and an Indian movie coming together. So for me, that's a
Okay.
big win, bigger than probably anything else we've done in the last few years, to sort of see how we're going to bring the Ramayana now to the sort of mainstream of the world.
Man, 50,000 screens is no joke. Like that itself, even if 10, 20, 30 people in each screen saw the movie, they'll make a lot of money out of it. And I think that I was just checking around that I think the highest number of screens an Indian movie has hit is around 9,000 for Pushpa 2. And I think abroad, like worldwide, is Avatar Way of Water, which hit 52,000. So for Ramayana to hit 50,000, that's incredible. I think they say China is 90,000, but I'm sure China has all other movies also playing. So even getting few there would be great. But 50,000 is crazy number, and if they can deliver on that, and if it works out, watershed moment for Indian cinema.
Like everything else.
It's really hard to believe that this is the first time. And I
True.
just want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Because it's amazing and it should have happened sooner.
No doubt. I think there's been such a great, sort of talent pool back in India that has made some really classic and terrific films. In fact, Nitesh made a film that did incredibly well in China called Dangal, which is one of the
Dangal.
highest grossing films of China and has been the highest grossing film of Indian cinema. But we've not really had Hollywood and India sort of come together to really unleash something that could be of this scale. And
I think if I'm not wrong, they are shooting Ramayana Part 2 right now, and Ranveer has a look where he has a beard. That means in the film also he's gonna have beard as Lord Ram. That'd be interesting. I think that's a complaint a lot of people have, that he's in Vanvas, why he has like a shaved face and all of that.
for the people of the world.
Is there anything that you actually like collect? I mean, maybe you get fancy movie posters, or like, is there anything that you actually collect?
Do I collect anything? I used to collect coins, like different type of coins, and from different ages. Now which are useless, but I have those stored. And I used to do like paper cutouts from if India used to win and World Cup and everything. I used to cut out and like create a book which I used to paste all of it. And yeah, then I grew up and discontinued.
I collect posters. I would love to get some like a Comic Con T-shirt or a cap. Just to have this memory for lifetime, because it's kind of surreal that I've always been on the other side, the side of the fans, looking up to all the the people.
Same here, man. Like I would have never imagined that an Indian film will be at a Comic Con. Like that was a dream that I used to follow Comic Con. When I got into Marvel and DC and all of that growing up. In my 11th, 12th and college and everything, and I used to wait for every Comic Con for this big reveal, and the trailers would be dropped, and I used to watch all the panels with all the actors and directors coming there. So to witness that Kalki did it, Ramayana did it this time, so that's really like a cool thing, like a never imagined thing.
Come to Comic Con. I've been watching Comic Con ever since I can remember, and the fact that now we're on the other side, presenting our film, it's quite surreal. So just to have this memory etched forever should take some, like a cap or a T-shirt.
So I'm curious, why was it important for you guys to sort of pause being in India and to come here? And how much like did you debate? Do we want to go to Comic-Con in San Diego? Like, why was it important that this is a place you guys wanted to be here
Good
to
question.
promote?
I think it's fair to say that Ramayana, by itself, by its own nature, has probably the largest following of. I don't want to call them fans because they are believers in the Ramayana that sort of exist on one side of the world, and this being the largest fan platform again in the world, it felt like we must bring Ramayana to the people who really sort of believe in it, indulge in it, and really celebrate it. Once they understand what it is, they can celebrate it. And I thought Ramayana being something that's sort of Ramayana being something that's been there for thousands of years and has this massive following, how cool would it be to introduce something that has that much history to a brand new fan audience in the world that sort of samples something for the first time? So that I thought was an interesting place.
And also it's a crowd which are into movies, which are into these fantasies, and like for them it may be fantasy. For us, it's not that. It's more beloved and more sacred than that. But for them that would be a nice opening for them to get into our culture, in our understanding of our belief system.
To bring the Ramayana specifically to Comic-Con.
So I'm definitely curious. Where are you in the edit for part one? How is it
Okay.
going? Like, how
Will
close
they
are
answer
you to
this?
being done?
So we are sorted. Our edit is locked
Okay.
way back. At the moment, we are busy giving finishing touches to our VFX work,
Nice.
which is a very, very daunting task. If you see the
I think now we are getting into the main stuff.
film, you'll realize how much hard work has gone in terms of purely just getting the VFX in place.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is you might finish the principal photography and you might finish the edit, but you're going to be working on those VFX shots till they take the movie away from you.
Some of the VFX sequences have taken 2.5, 3 years.
Wow.
This is exactly what I mean. So where are you in the VFX chain in relation to like where you thought you'd be and what ended up being maybe more challenging than you expected? Because you were doing like this massive 2-part movie, and there's so many moving pieces.
Yeah, so I think, VFX ultimately has become the glue that sort of sticks everything together. So things that you may encounter in cinematography, production design, or in any particular department, or just by virtue of creating the spectacle in of itself, visual effects is the sort of answer to a lot of that. So we're obviously in a good place overall. That being said, it's the hardest project that DNEG has ever done. We have won a few Oscars and we have worked with some of the most prestigious and challenging projects in the world, but it's fair to say that Ramayana sort of really scales up beyond all of those in terms of complexity and scale.
The thing is that DNEG doing Ramayana, it's not just for them to make money off the film, of theatrical, but also it's a showreel for them to show that this is what we can do, which we are capable of. That's for them because they're also a vendor. They're also a service that they sell, VFX service to other Hollywood films and other work. Not that they needed, showcase like that, like showreel like that, because they're already working it. They already have 8 Oscars for their work, so they don't need it. But them able to do that, that just helps them also in a long term way.
So it's the teams are all on it, and I think we feel good about getting there. I'd love to show you the trailer soon enough and love to see how you feel about that.
I definitely would like to see all the footage that you showed here, and when camera stops rolling, we will watch that, at least if I can.
Steve, there's also a new phenomenon right now that I think in the last few years, there's been such a large number of people online who become like CG critics. They see a trailer and...
Ranbir, don't do that. Don't invite people, to target you with that. Let's see what he has to say.
Always critiquing, it's not good enough. It's like it's seeming like it's not done. So I feel like people are getting more aware, especially with the influx of AI. People are getting more interested in how good the CG is, how good the CG will finally look, once the film releases. And I think that's quite it's quite funny sometimes, because people who don't know how CG is done, people think like someone's just used some AI and released something.
That tells you that they know what's going on. The internet, they know they have heard everything. They are very much in touch with the outrage or the discourse around the film and its VFX and the visual quality and this and that. That tells you that. That's very specific things he has said.
Countless hours of work where artists are working for years. I've seen Nitesh sir, Namit sitting on VFX calls ever since this project started, trying to get even a certain color of the sky right. So I think it's tricky right now, really to impress the audience with authentic CG.
Well, I also think that a lot of people, and this is just what I've noticed, there's a lot of fucking negative people online. And
Drop the F word.
I'll use myself as an example. I have read comments that say I'm an amazing interviewer. I'm really great at my job. I've also read the same comments that say I am the worst interviewer that's ever done it. And so
that's internet. That's a world, that's opinions. They'll have, different opinions throughout. There'll be a spectrum of it.
Like, how do you react to that? And the way I react is I basically ignore all of it. You know what I mean? And I think that for movies and for shows, personally, you should judge the finished film. And like, that's it. Like, when you go to see the movie, if you loved it, great. If you didn't love it, that's whatever. But like, you can't judge marketing. You need to judge the thing that's finally done.
Sure.
I would say that the marketing, what you're putting out there for people, you're using that to attract them, right? And if they're not enjoying that, if they're not liking it, then why would they show up? So that's also a part of it, right? Like it's also a gauge meter of, if I like this or not, if this is for me or not, should I go and watch this or not? So you should be putting out the best thing out there. And if you're receiving criticism because the audience cares about it also, valid criticism, not the hate and trolling.
Exactly. And I think, what's also very important to sort of raise is, and we had that, recently when we, launched our previous teaser, we heard a fair amount of, noise around some aspects of what we had done. And the same people that when you showed to them on a big IMAX screen in 3D, all of those conversations change because they're also judging stuff on their phone. They're judging stuff in not the great condition. So here we are spending years and millions of dollars, to try and make something for that big screen experience.
Valid argument. I get his point. But also the thing is, that's what people have, right? Like, you should know that they will be consuming what you're putting out as marketing, which you want them to watch and be attracted to it and come watch the film in theaters. They're going to consume that on the phone. So I think it's also your job to optimize your work so that it looks great for the phone also. You should knowing that someone will have a LCD screen, will not have an IMAX screen at home to watch a trailer, right? So there's another argument also to this, but I understand his argument also that, and the whole point is that you have to finally, judge the film, what you see in the theater. It's not about judging the trailer, which again I said a counter argument to that is part of making audience come and watch the film. So you have to put out the best thing.
We're waiting patiently to bring it to you, and then you judge it on a phone or not a great internet connection, and you're just like, oh, that's not good enough. And only to be told when you see it on the big screen that it's meant to be consumed on, that it's actually beautiful. So we've had a lot of that noise also that's sort of happening, and we are doing what we can, at least to a large number of creators and influencers, to sort of educate them about, like, listen, just at least try and give it a fair appraisal of what it is supposed to be.
That's interesting, that because that happened, right? They invited influencers and creators and showed them. I think the trailer which was released, they kind of showed visuals of them to visuals to them, and they said it's already what they saw. It looks much better what they've seen in the trailer, and I think that was a case to show them, what they're actually doing, and don't just judge it from the Rama teaser. But the criticism of just from the marketing space or the space of putting out the teaser, like, they could have been better shot selection, there could have been better choices to be made, to put, again, as I said, like, your marketing, your job is to impress people, like, oh, see, this is what we are making. But if you cannot put out substandard stuff out there and then say, oh, it will look great in cinema, don't worry, if it looks bad on your screen, that should also not be the case.
If I could say something, like, think about watching, Chris Nolan just released The Odyssey. And when you see The Odyssey in IMAX on 70 millimeter or just in IMAX, it is a spectacle.
Okay. We in India don't have IMAX. We have Limax, right? So 70 millimeter, what I've heard is the film reel that the projector plays. That would look something else altogether. I can't even imagine what it could look. But when I saw it in normal IMAX, when I saw it in normal theater, even the trailers of the film on YouTube on my phone, they still looked spectacular, right? That's the point I'm trying to make.
It is like it's like, not, it's just amazing. If you watch that same sequence on your phone, the movie on your phone, it is not that movie. Do you know what I mean?
And that's the beauty about what we're saying. I haven't seen the 70 millimeter version because, we don't have 70 millimeters in India, but I will watch it soon next week. But we know for a fact, because we have collaborated with Chris on all his films, that what you see in that theatrical experience, visually and in terms of audio, is completely unique to what you'd watch it on any digital device. And that sort of exactly proves the point that come judge it there, and if you don't like it, that's fair play. That's
100%.
That's how
It's interesting, how the interview went into a certain flow of, and this is actually, they also wanted to, you can tell them they were dying to talk about this. No one was asking, because I think no one would have want to talk about the negative aspect in an interview, short interview like this. Let's just focus on the stuff you enjoyed and all of that. So I think for them, I think Ranbir himself raised it, and then they have been on this tangent together. Everyone is enjoying, adding their own thoughts to it.
But Namit, isn't that a dichotomy today? Because most of the people are consuming on their phones or on a computer screen. So what's the way forward?
I think you're judging the technical finesse on a display that's not
That's
giving
true.
you the accurate representation of what you're actually watching. So the issue is not about whether you should consume it only on the big screen. That's not what we're saying. We're saying consume it where you like. But if you have a point of view, like when everybody wants to be a critic on visual effects or sound, you've not heard the right sound, you've not watched the right visual, and you're making a comment on something that's to me just unfortunately inaccurate.
Also, something else, if I could defend, sometimes with the marketing and with the trailer, like the footage, like you're doing CG shots for the trailer, and like it's just getting done
Yep.
for the trailer. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like the final movie is the final movie.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah, back to the main point, right? Like, of course, all the teaser trailers, the stuff you put out is not the final thing, right? The color correction will be changed over time. The quality of the effects could change over time. More additional things could be added or removed. A lot of things can go through till the time of release. It keeps happening. It's not like they finish the movie, then for 6 months they do marketing with that finished movie, using the visuals of the finished movie, and then release it. No. The movie is not finished at all. The saying is that you just release it. It's never finished. There's never enough time to complete everything as you want. So it's always about going to that release date, getting closer, finally doing the final touches till the end in the last week for most films, and then you're ready to send the film out for everyone.
I think there's no doubt that when we put marketing 6, 8, 9 months before the release, clearly the film is in production or post. The film is not ready.
100%.
If it was ready, we would not wait 9 months to release it.
That's true.
It's always hard to make people understand that. Why is that not as good as it should have been? I'm like, yeah, because it's still in the works.
The sad reality is that if somebody is hell-bent on nitpicking, your biggest effort will be ignored and your smallest mistake will be amplified. That's what
true.
happens.
I definitely have to ask you, when do you wrap? I know I got to wrap this interview, but like, when do you finish shooting part 2? How much more do you have?
We have all our war sections remaining.
Okay,
of part
that's
two,
a
most of
lot.
the drama bit is done. I think we are gonna.
I would assume, I think they're shooting in linearly then, considering that, because if the drama portions are short, that means the drama portions would not have so much VFX, right? It will be more the war sequences. And if they're shooting war sequences later, that means they're going linearly, and then I thought you would shoot the war sequence before so you get more time in post. But I guess narrative-wise, it makes more sense to go linearly, so the emotion and the pitch is all right. And then, of course, they have this year, next year, Diwali is part 2. So they have more than a year to work on it.
Give it a break for the time being, because we need to focus completely, wholeheartedly on finishing the post of part 1,
Okay.
which would need much more attention than it was needing a few months back. But I guess we have done prevising, and we just need to execute those things. So I think we are pretty well placed in terms of our timeline, but I think it'll happen only after we finish part 1.
I think it's also the first time, at least in Indian cinema, where we're nearly going to complete 80% of a sequel before the part
Yep,
before the
that's
first
true.
part releases.
I think Bahubali also they had shot 30%, 40% of part 2 before part 1 released. So I think in that they most of the action and the finale and everything was done later.
I think that's ever happened in the movies that's made in my country.
Most people don't actually make the sequel in the first one.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit of a risk that the producer is taking, but it's worth the risk.
This is my last question. I know the Toronto Film Festival is coming up, obviously, in September. Are you guys planning on doing anything there?
I think the marketing guys are, now that Sony's on board, I'm sure that they'll be thinking
That's so interesting.
about the strategy going forward to a large extent. So
Showing the whole film in September, 2 months before, it's not a great idea. I don't think it'll be ready to be shown. So maybe a full 10-minute sequence they can do, or a premiere or a new trailer. But TIFF is not the audience, honestly. Maybe for the job, like journalist and media people, you want to do something there, but not public-wise. I don't think that's the.
let's see what they come up with. This is very, very fresh and new. We haven't even sat and gone through the details of
Totally.
the plan running up to the release.
I have a question for you. Since you do all of this, how much of marketing is enough?
Well, okay, that's a huge question. And I think the thing to realize is that most cinephiles who are online all the time and who really are paying attention, like they will see the marketing. But the problem is like this person in Lincoln, Nebraska, who doesn't pay attention to marketing, you sort of have to hit them more than once. You need to make, like, how do we get this in front of you to have you watch it? People that are just not thinking about movies all the time. And that's the tricky part, is how do we reach those people who are not online 24/7, it's the balance. And the other problem is if you show too much in the trailers, then the diehard fans are going to be like, well, why? I've watched the movie. You know what I mean? But if you don't show enough, then you're not going to reach the people like all the people. So how do you find that balance?
Interesting.
I'm sure you're debating that right now.
Yeah, that's always a question.
So listen, I got to stop. I'm just going to say, I'm so happy you came in, and I really just can't wait to see the film when it's done, and also to watch it in IMAX.
All right, so that was a good one. Good things they talked about in the interview, and actually there were a lot of interviews they did during Comic-Con. I think there's one where Yash is also there and they're painting and all, so I will check that out. If you want, let me know. And there are so many interviews. I think they've just talked about the same thing, so I don't want to check out all of them. But this was an interesting. I was told they actually addressed the VFX part and the criticism and all of that, and it was interesting how they went on this tangent and discussed, like, they really wanted to say all these things. Somehow they are not wrong for what they are saying, but also there's a counter argument present. But actually the real problem is the trolling, the hate, which is very unnecessary, which is out of place, which is not informed, and that's where it's making it a wrong thing to happen. It's not that criticism should not be there, it's that the hate, which is unnecessary, should not be there, and it in a way affects the mood, affects the vibe of the film. Today more people are talking about the negative aspect of the film than the positive, and there's so much positive to look forward to. That's the whole point. And very, very excited for the film. If you haven't seen my trailer reaction, my frame by frame breakdowns on the channel, check it out. And again, if you enjoyed, do like, subscribe, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time.